Hi there, my name is Mark Russell and I have the privilege of being the Chief Executive of the Children's Society. And I'm really grateful to my friend Bishop Rachel for giving me this opportunity to say a few words at this very important conference. As you think through the themes of justice and joy, two really important themes. And I'd like to encourage you to think about what those themes mean for children and young people in this country. The Children's Society works with over 70,000 of the country's most disadvantaged young people, right around the land, including in Gloucestershire, where we're working with Gloucestershire County Council to help provide youth spaces for young people. But our work with those 70,000 children means we see up close just how hard life is for too many children in this country. As many of you know, I've worked with children and young people for pretty much all my life, and I've never known it to be this hard. Never known it to be this hard. Today, there are 4.5 million children living in poverty in this country. That's one child in three, 1 in 2 in our big cities, which is an absolute scandal and an outrage. It means those children are not getting enough to eat, they're not eating the right food, they're not getting enough fruit and vegetables. It means they're living in homes frequently with mold and damp. But it's more than that, more than that. Poverty bleeds into every area of a child's life. It affects their sense of belonging. It affects their sense of worth. It affects their sense of well-being. It affects their mental health. It affects their sense of optimism and hope for the future. Today, we know that poverty is rising, and nothing that the government has done in recent days, particularly around welfare and social security reform, is going to change that. Certainly not until they address the two-child benefit cap. So children are living in poverty. What does justice and joy mean for those children? We also know that 2.5 million children in this country struggle with their mental health and well-being and are not getting the support that they need. In fact, most children have to wait up to 2 years before they get the help that they need, during which time their mental health plummets and spirals out of control, so that we now know that the NHS is spending over 85 pence of every pound on children's mental health on crisis, when children are in desperate, desperate need. When we all know the earlier we intervene in children's lives, the better the outcomes and the more cost effective it is. What does justice and joy mean to those young people who aren't getting the help they need with their mental health? We know that over 1 million children are at risk of exploitation and harm, many at the hands of county lines criminals. They are forced to do terrible things and often end up on the wrong side of the law through no fault of their own. Many of them end up in the justice system, which Bishop Rachel will know a great deal about. Those children are victims of crime. They're being exploited and harmed and having their childhood stolen from them. What does justice and joy mean for those young people? And, let's be honest, we know today that children from the global majority are more likely to experience exclusion from school. They're more likely to have a bad experience of the police and the justice system. They're more likely to live in poor housing. They're more likely to live in poverty. And they're more likely to end up in a lower paid job than a white person. What does justice and joy mean to children from the global majority? These are massive questions. I could ask you many, many more relating to so many other issues that children face. But as you think about justice and joy for British children, ask yourself what that means for the children in your parish and in your diocese. Now, I know God doesn't have favourites. I know he doesn't. But if he did, I'm pretty sure the most vulnerable and disadvantaged children in this country would be right next to the very heart of God himself. So as you think about these themes of justice and joy in relating that to children and young people, I'd like you to think what your parish can do locally to support more families who are struggling in your area, support more children, but also to think about how your parish can use your voice prophetically, to stand with us in the Children's Society as we call for the radical change that children need and deserve, to help us raise the funds that we need through whether it's with a Christingle service or in any other way to help us do more, to help more children. I believe with all my heart that God wants the best for every child. He wants every child to flourish, to have life in all its fullness. And I promise you that until every child in Britain has the best start in life, can live in a decent home and be free from harm and abuse, to truly experience justice and joy, until that day, I promise you the Children's Society will fight with every sinew of our being for a better world, where every child has a good childhood, where every child has the chance to thrive, not just survive. Have a great conference.